Okay, here we go. How to calculate dew point and relative humidity here in New York State using the reference tables. Now that we finished up those other notes. We're going to do a lot of these. You might have to watch this video a couple times. This is going to be tricky at times. This is not necessarily one of the easier things to grasp, but you can do it. Everybody figures it out eventually. Dry bulb temperature. So that's just, again, your psychrometer has two little bulbs on it. One doesn't have any water on it, and one does, right? Dry bulb, wet bulb. So dry bulb, again, it's just really the same thing as air temperature, and all you're going to do is find that down here on the left. What is the air temperature? Now, generally problems, and I say generally because not always, are always going to give them to you as one of the numbers that are here. You might notice that there's only even numbers. If we really do this in a lab, or if the Regents wants to be a little cheeky and mess with you a bit, which they love doing, then they'll say, like, what if it's 13? And once you figure out how to do this, if you really got it down, you could figure out, okay, well, if it's 13, then it's got to be in between those two. And I can figure that out. Okay. You can do it. So either way, the dry bulb temp is on the left. So just dry bulb, just go to it. Now we're using Cami usually here in class. I print like many copies of this so we can have people writing all over them to make sure that we get it. So I really recommend that you use your tools here. And I'm going to start doing the first one. What is the dew point if the dry bulb is 18? So the dry bulb is 18. So I'm going to circle 18. Okay, there you go. There's step one. Step two, on top is the wet bulb depression, or what we defined just above when we did the notes is the difference between wet bulb and dry bulb. And again, people will always be tempted just to chuck the wet bulb temperature in there. Now, you can't do it on this first one because the first one is 16. So if you turn on your mic and say, hey, Mr. F, I don't know what I'm doing. There's no 16 on this. I'm going to say, I like you. I'm glad you're here with me, but you didn't watch the video. We don't need the wet bulb number. We need the difference between wet bulb and dry bulb. So if I come down here, the difference subtracting between 18 and 16 is 2. So that's what I need. And again, it's your call, I suppose, but writing on these things tends to be the way to do it. All right. Step 3, see where they meet. If you've ever played Battleship, this is the deal. So I have people like write a line here and write a line here. And I'll tell you that one trick, one reason why I think the drawing thing is good is because this 0 exists right here. Because a lot of people are going to say, so my answer is 15, right? But if I were to say, well, 18 with a depression of 2, here's what people, and again, trust me on my experience of having a decade's worth of students try this. People say, oh, the wet bulb's 2, 1, 2, answer 16, because they forget that there's a 0 up there. So that's why I think circling and drawing lines, at least until you really got this down, is the way to go. So that's it, yeah. 15, my label. And again, I'm not cracking heads in 2020 for labels because there's enough other chaos going on, and using Cami and all this stuff's kind of weird. But my label for dew point should be degrees Celsius. So best if you get in that habit. All right. Yeah. Step 4, include a label. That's it. Then erase what you did here or leave it on there. I don't know. You do your own work. You tell me what works for you. And try a couple more. Okay. I think I'll say press pause here. Press pause, do those other 3. I'm going to have coffee. Welcome back. Here's what I'll do. I don't want to do all of them because I want to make sure that you guys are practicing some. Let me do this one. This one always scrambles people a little bit because of the negative situations. The difference between positive and negative is not necessarily harder. We just don't have a ton of practice with it, I think. So what if my dry bulb is 2? My dry bulb is 2. And if the wet bulb went from 2 to -2, how much did it go down by? Now, again, this would be one where you couldn't possibly screw it up. You can't find a -2 up here, so that's not going to work. And what goes in the top is the difference. So if we went from 2 above 0 down to 1, 0, -1, -2, we went down by 4. So where do 2 and 4 meet? Right there at -11. Now, I'll have your notes going in Cami. The reason I didn't do all 3 of them, or all 4 of them, is because I really, there's no way around this. We got to figure out how to do these things. So I want to see that you guys have done that. I'll be checking up on you. You can do it. Good luck. All right. Good news, bad news. We have a whole new reference table to learn. But the good news is it works exactly the same. The only difference is that now we're going to get this humidity thing. We're going to get how much moisture is in the air as a percentage given all the same conditions. So what if my dry bulb is 26 and my wet bulb is 16? There's 26 right there. I'm going to circle it. 16, how much should it go down by? Would be 10. I've got it zoomed so that you can, hopefully you can see it on YouTube. So here's where drawing the line is really going to help. And I'll follow that dark one down. It looks like it's 34%. The next one's cool because they're the same. And in fact, you could almost do that with like variables. What if the dry bulb is X and the wet bulb is also X? What's the difference between a number and itself? It's always 0, right? 28 minus 28 is 0. There's no difference between those two. We'll look over here on the relative humidity. No matter what the dry bulb temperature is, if there's no difference between it, that means that we're at 100% humidity. Okay. Now, the last thing we're going to do is challenge, and I don't think we're going to get much into these questions today, but certainly tomorrow, definitely before Christmas break. What if you had to do this backwards? What if the relative humidity is 86 and the air temp or dry bulb is 28? Could you do this backwards? Because what the regents will do is make you do this every which way and convolute your brain in all the ways that they love to do. So what if they give you these conditions backwards? Could you be clever enough to use this reference tables and say, I'll erase off my 26 here, that if the dry bulb or plain old air temperature is 28 and the relative humidity is 86, could I do all the stuff that I've just figured out how to do, but do it backwards and go back to just what is the air temperature? And then take those conditions and throw them up here into this chart and tell me what is the dew point. And I'll tell you that's what the job's going to be soon, is not just going forward, but also going backward. But with that, I'm going to sign off for today. I think that was a good chunk. Let's find the stop button. Thanks for sticking with us. We are almost to the holidays. Good luck, folks. I'm going to find the stop button any minute here. There we go. Take care.